What is going on, YouTube? Northeast Ohio back for our another little NBA market check-in things. So we've done two of these videos already this week. This will be the third and final of this style. The first one was players that's prices have stayed flat, that basically haven't gone up or down now to a little over 2.5 weeks into the season. The second video we did was the players that went down the most. And now we're going to do 7 of the guys that have seen massive increases in their prices. I talked about this video at the tail end of my last one, and I basically guessed the top 4 to 5 in that video. So I extended this out to 7 to get an interesting name on the list. But before we get into it, YouTube nonsense down below. Like, comments, sub, and as per usual, we will be using market movers for pretty much this entire video for all your charts and graphs. The links to that are also in the description below, along with the coupon code for 20% off your first payment. So let's get into it. First up on our list, and these are from lowest to highest. So the last one we're going to look at has gone up the most since the season started. The first one was the intriguing one, just because I didn't really see this one coming, even though I know he's been playing extremely well. And I actually talked about him in a preseason video. I don't remember which one, about him being underrated in regards to where his price at is compared to other stars in the league. And that's Embiid. And his base Prism PSA 10 is almost up to $500. It's up $134. 38%. And I ran these charts back to December 20th through January 6th. I'm not sure when I'm going to post this yet. It's either going to be Thursday or Friday. It might be Friday. So if anything crazy happens Thursday in the NBA, it will probably not be reflected in this video. I typically don't like to try to record them this far ahead. But very busy at work this week, and I had a night that I could crank a couple out. So future people, hello. But yeah, Embiid base Prism up. And this was kind of funny because Simmons is down. And the team's playing well. Simmons is one of the guys that went down the most. Embiid's the one that's one of the ones that have gone up the most. So I'm kind of intrigued by that I feel like there's a market correction coming for Simmons if the Sixers continue to play well, but we'll see. So Embiid up 40%. Next, and this is where, honestly, if you follow the NBA at all, you should know the next 6 names coming. It is not that surprising. And I will challenge you right now. Stop here for a second, and I've given you Trae Young. Who are the top 5? You don't necessarily have to, I'm not asking you to put them in order. Give me 5 names before you watch the rest of this video that you think are the top 5 that have gone up the most, not counting Trae Young and Embiid. If you follow the market at all, you should be able to knock these out of the park. And spoilers, they were all mentioned at the tail end of the last video. Let's see if you could get them. Trae Young, not surprising at all, up 44% on his base Prism. It got down to 560 at a low point right before the season started. It had gone up to 750. It had pulled way back right before the season started, and now it has shot right back up again and blown past its old number to crack through 800, up 44% in that 2.5 week period that we are in. So you should by now have your 5 names picked out. Let's move on to number 5 on this list. Jaylen Brown. Once again, shouldn't be very surprising. He is up a ton. He started the NBA season at 306. He is up to 581. That's $275 price change for up 90% on his base Prism. Whoo-wee. What a jump for him. And he is not even anywhere near the highest. But boy, oh boy, what a nice return on that. And I could see this continuing to go higher. because he is playing out of his mind, and everyone loves the Celtics. Number 4, the land of the sex land, Darius Garland. And he was actually higher, but he's actually come back to earth the last week because he's been hurt. He has a shoulder injury that's caused him to miss the last 2 games, and the word is he's going to be out another week. To this point, he is up 90%, even with the decrease from the injury. He's up $67, up 90%. Started the season off at about $75, is ending the period for the charts at about 140, 145. And I'm going to keep a close eye on his stuff. If it continues to sneak down a little bit over the weekend, I may jump back in again. I had a Garland PSA 9 pink ice that I picked up right before the season started for about $40 that I've already sold for 120. And I have a silver PSA 9 that I got for $50 before the season started that I've held on to this point. And I have tons of base cards of him and some optic that I'm getting ready to some optic color that I'm getting ready to send out for grading potentially on Garland. But I would look to get back into his PSA 10 if they continue to drop. But he is number 4. Number 3, DeAndre Hunter, your Atlanta Hawks, up 91%. Started off almost the same as Garland, $80, all the way up to 155 for a 91.5% increase. Full disclosure, in the preseason, I was not a fan of DeAndre Hunter or Cam Reddish. I got questions about both. I poo-pooed both. I will take the L on Hunter. I will take the W on Reddish. Reddish has not played well this year, and his prices reflect that. Hunter has played well, and his prices reflect that as well. Hunter has really been helped by the fact they have a lot of injuries, and he also seems like he improved quite a bit over the offseason. But he's getting a lot of extra playing time that I was not expecting because of Gallo being hurt, Herter being hurt for a couple games. They just like had these random injuries keep guys out for like a game, a half a game. And Hunter's really been able to benefit from being able to play multiple positions. And I think he's going to be a permanent part of that rotation. Like, he was a permanent part of the rotation coming into the season, but I feel like he has carved out a much bigger role now. And I am really coming around on Hunter. So once again, I will take the L because I definitely poo-pooed him in the NBA offseason. I will not run away from my hot takes. But like I said, I will take the W on Reddish because he has not looked. Out of the two of those, Hunter definitely seems like the one you want to be putting your money in. If you would have asked me that in the preseason, I would have said Reddish. So I was definitely wrong on that one, at least so far. But Hunter looks great, and his prices are reflecting his play. Next, America's darling, the famous, the talk of sports cards social media, NBA fantasy social media, all of it, NBA Twitter, Keldon Johnson. Everybody freaking loves this dude, myself included. I was not like, let me go out and buy all the Keldon in the world, but I was, let me put all my Keldon in a nice, neat little pile to hold on to and see what happens this season. And boy, oh boy, I am on the train. Hop on with me. I have not bought any Keldon in the real world, but I have spent a ton on Keldon on Starstock. See the video posted yesterday for more discussion on that. He looks really good. The team loves him. Pop loves him. The internet loves him. Twitter loves him. He's super trendy in the industry. And boy, did his prices take off once he did. Since the beginning of the season, you can get these for $105 for a PSA 10 Prism. They're up to $250, 139% increase. His silvers at the moment are almost going for 1,000, if not over 1,000. Silver Prism PSA 10. Um, Wild times out there right now on the Keldon Johnson market. Go dig through your boxes looking for him and see what you can find. He looks like the real deal. I just hope the Spurs can stay relevant this season and maybe he could get a little playoff bounce, but he seems like a really good long-term hold and could be the future of that team. I am all in on the Keldon hype train. Last but not least, anyone that follows the channel will know my biggest, hottest take of the year was Colin Sexton related. My statement on Colin Sexton is that he is Lou Williams 2.0. I have been on this hill fighting this war for a very long time. And as a Cavs fan, it hurts. Number one on the list, Colin Sexton. The front half of the Sexland combination. His PSA 10 started the season at $130. It is up to $318 for a 144% increase and just keeps going up every single day, just about. And with Garland out now and KPJ is still MIA, he is just balling. And I mean, I guess at this point, I got to say I was wrong on this one, obviously. I mean, I'm not going to buck the data and the trends. I still don't know that I want to be holding him long term, but I mean, I could say that about 95% of the NBA, that I don't want to be holding him long term. Colin Sexton is the classic example of a player. And I don't have hardly any Colin Sexton. I was buying up Garland and KPJ instead of Sexton, and I will take the win on Garland, kind of like the Reddish Hunter thing. I'll take the L on Sexton. I was wrong. KPJ still to be determined. Really, nobody knows what the hell is going on with him. I have some speculations and some theories, but they are pure blind guesses, so I'm not willing to just throw those into the ether on the internet. But I hope that he comes back soon, both for the Cavs' sake, because they could really use him. They are very banged up. And for my collection's sake, because I have more KPJ cards than probably any other player. But Sexton's going to keep putting up numbers. He has zero competition for shots right now. And he's just going to keep balling out. But, like I was saying, sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. Sexton is the classic player that I would execute my plan on, that if I bought a lot of Sexton in the offseason and I have made a ton of profit on it, which if you bought Sexton in the offseason, spoilers, you have made a ton of profit on it, I would be looking to move off of at least some of it. I'm not saying sell it all, but you bought 5 Prism PSA 10s of Colin Sexton. Okay, you could probably sell off 2 of those, cover all your Colin Sexton expenses, plus make a little bit of profit, and then you're free rolling 3 of them. This is the type of player I would definitely do that on, because I still think this bubble could burst at any second. And also, let's not forget, the Cavs probably are not making the playoffs. They've not played well their last few games, but to be fair, they are injury decimated. Okoro was out, Windler's hurt, Exum's hurt, KPJ's MIA, Kevin Love's hurt. They're just brutalized on the injury front. Their best bet is probably, if they made the play-in tournament, that would be a huge success for this team. So, you know, I think Sexton has a very hard ceiling on him for this year. I don't know what the number is, but he is definitely a guy I would lock in some profits on, lower your risk on the remaining holds on him, and then free roll whatever you decide to hold, depending on your personal preferences on that. That's the way that I like to play it. Maybe you don't, and that is fine too. Just as long as you have some sort of system, that is what matters, and you're not just going about this stuff willy-nilly firing from the hip. So that's it. That's the 7. To me, the only remotely surprising player on that list was Embiid, just because I did not realize that his stuff had snuck up that much. Because Embiid, it wasn't huge spikes. At least I don't believe. Let me double check the chart before I talk incorrectly. Yeah, it really wasn't huge spikes. It was just kind of like you know, up a few percent each day, and then you keep going up, and then by the end of a 2 to 2.5 week period, next thing you know, you're up 40%. Just very nice, slow, steady growth with one little dip in there um, on Embiid, and those are the ones that sneak up on you. You know, the Keldon Johnsons that go crazy over a 48-hour period. Those are easy because social media is ablaze talking about him. Embiid, people have been talking about him, but he's just kind of crept up out of nowhere. So those are the 7. Hopefully you were able to guess the top 5 because they were pretty obvious. And I think what I might do going forward is not necessarily do these every 2 weeks, but I think I might do like a monthly check-in at the end of every month and go back to not the previous month, but go all the way back to the beginning of the season. I'm curious to see who goes up and down the most throughout a full NBA season under normal times. I really wanted to do this with data from last year, but the 6th-month break in the middle kind of just mucked everything up. It threw everything, all the trends out the window. So it's really going to be nice to see an actual real season's trend and kind of see how these prices fluctuate throughout the season and who goes up the most, who goes down the most, and who ends up basically staying perfectly flat. So I think, we kind of did this one for the end of December. We caught the first couple weeks of the season. And then what I think we may do is kind of do something very similar to this series of the 3 videos that we just did at the end of every month. So like to wrap up January, we'll go back to that December 20th-ish date and run it through. Then same thing at the end of February, we'll look back to December all the way through and see who's moved a lot. Now, guys that have had massive spikes should stay on that list, but maybe someone comes out of nowhere and catches them. Those are the interesting data points that I like to see. And then I don't know what we can pull out of that just talking about it, but I think it'll be interesting. And maybe there's something to be learned from that. And we'll find some new little nugget. So that's all I have for you guys today. Next video, I think I might kind of do what I just talked about with NFL. And that is go back to like the tail end of the preseason, right before week 1. And just see who's gone up and down the most for the entire season. I think the names will be surprising. The only thing I'm debating is, do I want to do it before the playoffs? Or do I want to do it after the playoffs? And I think I might do it before the playoffs start. So that video might drop on Saturday. If I have time to record it Thursday or Friday, because that one's going to take quite a bit of research. I think Saturday morning, I might try to get that video out or sometime Saturday. And it'll look through the entire 17-week NFL season. And we'll look to see who's gone up the most, who's gone down the most, and who basically did nothing. And any other interesting little tidbits that come in and out of there. And then maybe we'll do another one at the end of after the Super Bowl for same thing, who's gone up and down the most during the NFL playoffs. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. I know I don't do a ton of football on the channel. It's mostly basketball, especially now that we are in the heat of basketball or the prime of the basketball season. But I am going to I do still occasionally touch on NFL and Major League Baseball on occasion. And I do want to kind of do that for NFL just to see if there's anything we can learn from looking at that data. So you guys have a good tail end of your week heading into the weekend, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.